Hello, everybody. I thought that would go seamless. I should have known not. And I couldn't stop it. Wasn't it going? Welcome to everybody. Good to see you.
Hello and welcome to Puša Studios with traditions of starting live streams wrong.
That's right. It's like coming home, guys. It's like coming home.
We're a family show. We always keep up good traditions.
That's right.
Huh. And I remember to turn the microphone around.
Doing great, hon.
I'm falling out of the
We're on the ball
now.
tonight.
Yeah, I know. Well, hello.
There's lots of Neil was I caught you at the last second. I seen you were having a good conversation with yourself here. Sorry about that. Yeah, the chat's open, but we weren't into it. We were working with the other technical difficulties.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a day, to be honest. Today, it's Thursday, and it's a little Friday, and I wish it would be Friday.
Yes.
In reality, because it's been a heck of a day, I must say. We've been running right on the dot.
Yeah.
IT late for everything.
Yeah.
And late with Andrew is IT on a dot.
Yeah.
Because he likes to be early everywhere. So if we're late, that means we're right on time. So, yeah. But nevertheless, it still gets really stressful.
Yeah, that it does. There's the traditional steaming coffee for everybody. There you go.
I bet they like my mug better.
I don't know. This is the thermos that you bought me, so it works so well. I got to take the cap off just to be able to drink the coffee. So I mean, you can't ask for much better than that.
I got it. Yeah. I just was digging for compliments.
I know, and you got them served on a platter. That's right. You the gal.
I'm the gal. That's right.
That's right.
Well.
How's everybody doing today?
And I was waiting for somebody to respond.
Riff, your coffee. Well, your coffee, we'll have to get that to you. We'll have to get everybody. Coffee's for everybody. First we gave away mods, and now we're gonna give away coffee.
Yeah, ranch is for free, coffee for free.
That's right. So Halos and Heathens. Old Camp Branch. So good to see you're coming back. I love this. It's always nice to see the new ones. And Neil, the returning ones. You see right there, a great mix of both, just in the first two. Sophia's passion for cooking. Good to have you here. You've been quite frequent here. It's always great to have you. Terrell, you guys might be mods, but think of it like a polygamy marriage. She's still the head mama around here, so that's okay. On this channel, consider us like at sea.
It's stateless.
Shire Erickson. I hope I pronounced that properly. I pray to God I didn't mean if I butchered it. Welcome. So good to have you here. Best friend in your thread. Welcome, Hi, Stephanie. Good to have you. ADG.
Oh, she can't hear anything.
Oh, that's right. We'll have to type it to her. That's true.
For those of you who don't know, she's at work. So
yeah, she's not deaf or anything like that.
Yeah.
She's just working and being a dual multitasking. Yeah, dual supporter. ADGH Travels. I'm assuming this is Andrew. I'm hoping Tracy will join too. Or is Tracy under the banner tonight?
Let us know.
Trucking Studios. Good to see you. Always good to see you. Love his channel. Plays the most addictive game I ever played in my life. Love it though. So I live vicariously through his videos. That's how it pretty much works. And Riff Mangoes, who is looking for his coffee, and hopefully it's on its way.
Philip Cockram is in.
Oh, Philip.
Are you making your dinner? And what about Bottle Caps? He usually makes his dinner while listening to us.
That's right.
And grilling on the BC coast, enjoying summer while we
true.
Are having rain here.
D-Throg, welcome. TriStar Travelers, good to see you. Very good to see you.
Did we miss anybody?
I'm just looking.
Larry
Johnson, my favorite name.
You guys are popping in. And
I love it.
It's amazing, but I am afraid I missed something.
Coriolis Effectman is in the house.
Oh, yes, guys, if you missed yesterday, the floating head show.
that was great. That was so amazing.
Coriolis Effectman. Yeah. You got to see it. You're going to have the laugh of your life. Yeah. Yesterday was so much fun. They are so creative, so original, so interesting,
so eye-catching. Like I was mesmerized by it. Straight.
You gotta go and check out yesterday's stream. It was something.
Fun Learning is here. Welcome. Good to have you. Matt Cook, Oregon. One of my favorite creators. So glad to have you here.
Great to see you.
Yeah. Oh, and Tracy is here. So Tracy is there. So that meant it was Andrew and ADGH Travel banner. So welcome to both of you. And I think we've covered everybody. And I'm sure more will come in soon. And we'll have a mix of new and old, which is always great.
Yeah, we are always glad to see the old faces.
Yep.
And new ones to mix in as well.
And before Bottle Caps asks, we're going to view his video.
Right. Oh, no, I almost forgot about it.
I did not, because I knew what was... He is going to ask. So let's go to channel. Let's
Healers are saying they're trying to behave tonight.
oh, good luck on that.
Yeah, with a mix of you and bottle caps, it's gonna be pretty explosive. So I'm ready.
Bottle caps, we'll show your video. It is like 7.5 minutes. We can't show all of it, but we're gonna jump through some parts, okay, and look at it together. You'll have to watch the chat because I can't see anything. I'm sure he objects to that one. But...
For those of you who don't know, Bottle Caps asked for his video to be viewed yesterday, and we decided to watch it at the beginning of the show today. So that's what we're doing.
And one, just Bottle Caps, I'm sure you can hear us. You sure this is copyright free, right? Yeah, you got it from Free Sound Music. So you did put the... Because this is really tricky. Because I'll have to put the attributes in our... yeah. Because this one you had to put attributes for it. We got to put it in ours as well then. Commercial. For your private and commercial enjoy. Sorry, we got to be a stickler just because I want the video getting knocked off.
Riff Mangoes is good to see you sporting the same shade of silver beard. Yes, I like it too. I like it too.
She's always into that.
I like it even a bit longer. Like I'm so excited for it to grow out a little bit. So.
I got to trim it if I'm going to leave it like that. So.
Rough and tumble.
Rough and tumble. That's me. That is me. This Bottle Caps has probably gone to make pork chops. I ain't paying attention to this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, we'll wait till at least till Bottle Caps is back in, and then we'll check the time, and if not, we'll do it after. So, that's here. Let's show a little clip of it. So then Bottle Caps, Bottle Claps. That's right. That's right. That's what we're going for.
Yesterday we called him Grandpa, and that was a huge explanation why.
Yeah.
And now it's Bottle Claps. I don't know what we'll have to do now.
He answers to anything. All right, let's just take a little look. He does have some really nice footage here, though. I'm going to bring down the volume for now because I'm trying to avoid the... Look at these shots, like right here. This is absolutely phenomenal. Nice and smooth coming in. And he likes to leave his turns in because he likes to leave that. Personally, that's where I would have done, and then cut to here and then show this going across. And the turn is nice, pretty smooth. See, in Adobe Premiere, you could put time. Oh my God, I'm starting to even forget the terms into it's been so long. She's got some really amazing shots here. Really nice.
I love it. I love the crisp image, and the colors are amazing. The deep blue, the light, you know, and look at the mountains in the back. I
definitely not the weather here.
Color is definitely has improved tremendously.
Yeah, very much so. Took the words right out of my mouth. Because you have a lot of white into it. If you can hear it, is he back yet? Or?
Yes.
Bottle Caps, your color, like Xenia said, you really, 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 really kicked up your game onto it. I would add a little bit of contrast just because you have a lot of white in this shot. If there was anything to say, and I mean, that's minimal and that's the taste. And you like to keep your things quite natural. So you've really, really done that. So it's nice. I like it.
Very smooth work, you know.
Yeah.
There's just few, I think, jitters there.
Yep.
But otherwise, it's very smooth work for the drone.
That's a hard shot to do, yeah. To not outrun because he's coming into port, so his speed's lowering all the time. That's extremely hard.
Very good idea too for the video, kind of like the following the path of it, and
I like it. You're really stepping up your game, my friend. I love the footage. And yes, I'm jumping over. I'm just looking at different parts into. Yeah, that spin is nice. And you see, that's where you could have cut the spin and then went back into this and then have him coming into frame like that. But like you say, like I said, like with train guys are the same way too. Some of them really want to shoot like light edited and raw. They don't like having everything chopped to pieces. So there's nothing wrong with it. That's your style, and only you can decide what your style is.
We assumed bottle caps that it is raw because that's what you usually do out of the drone.
Yes, what I meant by raw was not cutting out a bunch of parts. That's what I meant.
Train coming in.
Hello.
We are smooth here.
Yeah, it's probably now I can turn down my volume.
Well, whoever is sitting in California, any of you guys, we couldn't hear you.
It's what's her name from, I'm sure from Google. They're your Google assistant trying to rip you off. Rip off. I know, I thought of that too, but I want them to get that one. You did really nice.
Very good video. Yeah. We really loved it. And as you can see, your views jumped up from yesterday's quite tremendously. So.
Yes, Gregory, that's right. That's a very good quote. Only you can decide your style, but everyone else can tell you what to do. I like that.
That's true. Hi, by the way, and hello. Brenda's Beauty blog, hello as well. And Tracy Casto, hello. Everybody liked the video. Caps was saying likes the turn, dynamic. I like raw. He loves the heathens. Yeah, I think it's really good.
No, Brenda, we Sunday, maybe on Tech Tuesday, we'll do a little bit more of that. Tonight we got a pretty thick schedule, and we're gonna have our guest on soon. Bottle caps is because he was asking us last night, and we've learned with bottle caps. Bottle caps likes things done. He's one of the old guys, but that is something maybe we'll do. I'm worried about doing that in Xenia too, because we don't want to. We don't want to go hard. It's like it's never going to be like hard on people and stuff. I believe everybody has a right to do what they feel good at, you know. And my type of editing, like we were just talking there, could be way different than what Bottle Cap says. Do something with it. Oh no. So yeah, we don't do it too often. Yeah, don't mind us, guys. We've had the last couple of days. So
get it together. Get it together. Yeah. How about some likes for our host? Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Smash that like button. Push that share button. Put it out there. Share with everybody. The more, the merrier.
Yes, exactly, Coriolis Effectman. That's right. That's why. That is a big issue. It's really, you're really got to be careful with it, because you might say right now, I'm not monetized. It doesn't matter. But one day you will be, and one day you could have 900,000 watches every time you put out a video, and then they're gonna go back and look at your old stuff. And yeah, exactly. Happy Trills. That's it. You know, I mean, if somebody, maybe we'll do that sometime on a Tuesday, and have a section for that if people want to bring it up. But it's not gonna be like nailing anybody to a cross.
No, we only did it because Bottle Caps requested it. So. It was self-inhibited.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of putting it. There you go. Not the way I would have thought of, but it's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, so we're not just picking apart random videos just because we want it.
We got to turn the camera on an angle next time. I want kind of a Batman thing going, like a 35-degree angle. Just looking at that as I was looking at the screen, that came into my head.
Okay.
Why not, right? When in Rome.
Somebody thinks that they're a Batman. Okay.
Hey, easy to tips and tricks, etc., etc. Welcome, Art Geek Design. Welcome, great channels, all great channels. Brenda's Beauty Blog. I answered you back without actually saying hi first, so I do apologize. How are you doing tonight? Wait till Sunday. What's coming up? Oh, yes, because they were watching some pictures. I'm working on the next living photo series. It's coming out Sunday night, and this time it's going to be Budapest, which Bottle Cats pointed out correctly this morning. It's actually two cities, Buda and Pest.
Yeah, and if you don't know yet, we are here live every day from 8 to 10 p.m., except for Sundays.
That's
and
right.
Sundays are the days when Andrew releases the cinematic video.
And I like the pictures. We have so many great pictures. I mean, Xenia's taken tons of them. I've taken a few. And because of the editing schedule right now, it's hard. It's great to at least put something out. So it's a great series, I think. I think it's going over well. You guys, of course, always make it well. So thank you. Tony says it's 1:17 a.m. Friday morning here, but left a like on your stream. Can stay for too long, but a bit. Any bit's welcome. If it's 2 minutes or 2 hours, whatever you can give to us and you feel you're enjoying yourself, I'm happy. Thank you so much. Craft Beer Pourers, good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. That's good to see you back. Hello and cheer.
Happy Trails is going camping this week. That's amazing. Instagram hopefully gets some great yes. Do the live, do the Insta stories.
Yeah.
That would be cool while you're camping, if possible. You're talking to me, I'm doing well. I saw you were live and I had a minute. Haven't been here for a while. Welcome.
Oh my God.
Tips and tricks for coming to visit. That's right. Yep. Thank you very much.
Scrumptious Model Train, so I didn't say hello to you a while ago. Welcome. Somebody else from Ottawa. You hear that? Coriolis Effectment. Hey, you guys could do
it. Well, thank you. And for those of you guys who don't know, tonight we're going to have a special night and special guest in. It's been exciting.
Yep.
We've been waiting for
this is going to be cool.
Yeah, a very long time. We're going to have a host of the Unwritable Rant podcast on, Miss Juliette Miranda. And for those of you who don't know, this podcast is up and coming on Popular.
Look who just popped in. Hey,
hello.
Good to see you. I just messaged you a while ago. It's been a couple of days. Hope all is well. Welcome. I'm sorry, I cut you off. That friggin' flag again.
Doc, may I start again?
That old flag started looking pretty pathetic. There you go.
Okay, so tonight we are having a special guest on, and Miss Juliette Miranda, the host of the Unwritable Rant podcast.
It's cool.
And it's up and coming, already popular, but getting even more popular podcast. Just this week, it has been announced as one of the top 200 podcasts on iTunes.
That's cool.
She has been featured on Huffington Post and Daily Herald. She has written a book. She had interviewed amazing people from Mike Rowe and Eric Roberts, Lee Thompson, and the producer of Kiss, which is so cool. Yeah. And we're going to want to know everything about it. And if just this is not enough, she loves bourbon.
That's right.
She loves bourbon, and we want to know about that.
Definitely. We got lots of bourbon questions.
Yes.
I'm always into somebody who likes bourbon. A girl likes bourbon, hey, hats off to her. She's already my friend. So, Gregory Salvador, have a great night. Thank you so much for coming. Much, much, much appreciated. Yeah, Natural Journey on the top 200 in iTunes. That is impressive. Yep. I agree.
She's been appearing in lots of interviews, and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have her here. This is really cool. And this is nice to bring somebody because she's kind of new into the YouTube scene and stuff like that, but are well established, as you can see in the podcast. Yeah. So it's great to have this kind of mixing it up some and introduce you guys to a fresh new face and stuff. So
and I think Neil, Halos and Heathens, they have their podcast as well.
Yeah,
and they have I think very successfully kind of transitioned and still doing both at the same time. And as they were saying in one of their last lives, the podcast and YouTube family kind of is merging right now.
Right.
And it is amazing. Podcast family is so welcoming and friendly, and we're welcome to YouTube.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of experience of creating amazing shows, and I'm looking forward to more and more of them popping on YouTube. So this is our way to show what is podcast, and hopefully get to know ourselves.
I think it's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like what A. Joe said here. I'm well and just finishing up my next upload, which I even messaged the other day in your last one. I'm impatiently waiting for. I miss coming here. I truly miss everyone here. I love bourbon. Hiccup. You're so. I get it. Okay, yeah, you're crazy. He's a one-man show and an amazing show at that. So, and also, Tony from Silver. I can't believe I remembered your name. That is something because I never remember names. I'm horrible at it. But yours, for some reason, is sticking. Tony writes was about staying up late. Yes, but Puša Studios is worth staying up for a bit. TriStar Travelers. That means a lot.
We love that.
You guys all mean a lot, and having you all here means a lot, and we appreciate every one of you. So, never forget that this show is made with you guys. We appreciate you.
Yes, awesome guest, and I can't wait. I think she is ready.
Yep,
so good. We can try and bring her in.
Just let me make a change here, and we're gonna go to the magical world of Twitter, and here we go.
You can't hear anything. Why you can't hear anything? Are the kitties at fault? We're happy you can be here tonight. Yes, thank you. While we are getting our guest ready, if you could tweet this out, if you like it. If you don't,
please
don't.
Yeah, there's no pressure, no nothing.
But if you like, just tweet it out. The more, the merrier.
It really does help if you can, and you feel good with it.
And let's see.
Happy trails. We are happy we can be here tonight. Well, we're happy to have you here tonight.
Get your coffee or bourbon ready. And we are going to be on soon.
Thank you for the tweets, guys.
By the way, tomorrow we're going to have a very interesting show as well. For those of you who want to pop in for the Friday night, it's going to be a spooky paranormal activity show. We're going to be investigating the latest appearances, the most spookiest stories. It's going to be very exciting. I can't wait.
It is. It's going to be fun. Yeah, I know you're really excited for it. I
imagine like we would be like in a tent with a flashlight, and telling the spooky story in a little house, in a little room. Something like that. Hello, Ultimate Spike.
Welcome. You just caught us in time, Ultimate Spike. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for tweeting. Coffee check here too. Yep. Almost done. Thank you guys.
Yep. You guys are amazing.
You got a Twitter account last week. Does help, even though I only use it on the desktop. Oh, yeah. I mean, it always helps. I do believe that you have to shout out your videos somewhere. I mean, otherwise it's like putting them in a box and closing the lid.
Oh, we have a visitor. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome.
Oh, it's great to see you guys, finally.
Good to have you here. How's everything going tonight?
So far, so good. It's I got my glass of bourbon here with me, and I'm excited to get started.
Well, I like that energy.
Yes, I do. I wish I would have bourbon too, but that's just coffee.
Oh. No, and
I wish she was hosting the show. Cheers.
Oh, cheers, guys.
We're doing with coffee, but same thought.
Close enough.
Way too hot to down though. So.
Oh yeah, no, I'd be careful with that.
Yeah. So how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. You know, this is a whole new thing for me. I've never done one of these live chats like this before, so it's a little different, but I'm digging it so far.
Well, that's great. I love the energy. Once again, I said you should be hosting. I think with your energy tonight, you got both of us beat. You can spend the 2 hours just interviewing us. It's all good.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Being on the other end of an interview.
So, I guess we'll start right because I like this because you're very well known in the podcast, but you're still fairly like growing in the YouTube community. How are you feeling about the two of them? Like the comparison between YouTube and doing your podcast?
Well, I think the communities are similar in that everybody is just so welcoming and so friendly. I mean, already I'm totally new at this YouTube thing. You know, this is crazy for me. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm still like taking baby steps right now. But everybody's been super supportive and welcoming. And I had the same experience when I started out with the podcast. You know, we were taking baby steps, trying to figure out what we were doing. And, you know, we met up with the Modern Family people, and it's just become all sorts of great friendships. And it's just a blast.
It's cool. When you start to find, especially your core audience, I find that's when things really start to feel good.
Oh, yeah. Like with the podcast, it's amazing. I tell personal stories for the most part on the podcast. And now I have people that I've never met, that I don't know, reaching out to me, asking me about, you know, characters from my stories, you know, wanting to know what happens next, you know, wanting to know about little things that I post on Twitter. Is that going to become an episode? So it's really cool just to be making these connections with people.
That's amazing. It's nice. And that's nice as any artist, because I mean, podcasts, when you're sharing stories, I mean, I know you're a writer, but even as a podcast is a form of art.
It is, yeah.
People appreciate it.
It's so different from what I used to do. I was primarily writing everything in book format or in essays, and here it's so different telling stories than it is writing them down. You know, you've got to think about it differently. You have to speak differently. It's a whole different world. And even the same thing is happening with YouTube here. You know, I have to be different than I would on the podcast too. So
that's good. I mean, they all intertwine in some way, but they each have their own identity. So
absolutely. Yeah. Just little differences you learn here and there. But
hey, it's all learning curve, and it's a pretty, like you say, with that core, you got a pretty supportive community, so it takes a little bit of the edge off. And
yeah, I'm grateful for that.
So are we, believe me. You seen our intro tonight, you would know what I mean.
Oh.
We're always running around and got the kids and trying to get going and then get everything set up, and then by the time you know you're forgetting everything, and it's like, oh, we did it tonight. No, we screwed it up again.
Well, like I always say, it's a tradition to always mess something up at the beginning, and if we actually finally go through once in a month at a time, then it's like, really? No way! We're out of the tradition. So.
We call it the Halley's Comet theory. If we
nice. Well, that's why I kind of like podcasting, because I have a buffer there. You know, I can record, I can stop, I can edit. You know, it's just, well, here it is, you know.
Yeah.
That's so true. It's very raw and it's very out there. And like we didn't really plan to do live streams. Really, there is nothing. We thought about that 2 months ago. If you would have asked us if we would be doing live, we would say no, never.
No.
And then it just happened, you know, once, twice, and we kind of went with it. And we have interviewed, I think, or talked with I would say more than 20 people now.
Yep.
And it's amazing. I'm looking forward to each next one now.
Oh, definitely.
You know, because there's so many amazing stories.
Our whole nighttime has changed around it, and it was an adjustment for the time, and we did that to make sure we had a decent place. We wanted to be consistent and not where we were in the way of the other channels that are there. And once we found it, and it started becoming an integral part of day-to-day routine, I find it's like a place as an outlet.
Yes.
And I'm into editing, and I'm finally starting to feel some of that creative outlet that I got from editing. Mm-hmm. I am getting in these podcasts, these live streams. So sorry, and I'm going to do that so many times.
I think it's a wishful thinking.
so natural at it. You just feel so comfortable with it. And I really admire you guys. You're so good at what you do.
Oh, thank
and
you.
We're terrified every time we press the button. Yeah. It's like, oh God, here we have an expression. It's like the scene from Armageddon when they hit the button together.
Like Halos and Heathens. I love watching their stuff because they're so natural with what they do, and they're so comfortable and funny and cute. And I totally admire that. I'm hoping one day I can get to that point.
Well, I think you're already well on your way. Not to knock what they have done, because we love their channel. They're amazing.
We're gonna be on Saturday.
Yeah. They were a nice fit as couples with us. I think they were one of the first couples we had.
Yeah.
And it was like same as Rick and Brooke.
Yeah.
There's certain couples are really fun if you get the right thing going. Dynamic, and you forget there's even a chat or anything.
Double dating, as I call it.
Yeah, double dating. That's
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely, that's exactly what it is. It's like trying to make friends as a couple. You know, you have to find the right balance and the right likes and everything. It's tricky.
It is. But then there's always ways to get people out of their shell, and I think because we don't take ourselves too seriously, but also don't try to make it too hokey, it gives people kind of a bit of freedom to kind of fall in and then feel more comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are so welcoming. So
thank you, and you as well. So let's. I want to get back to your stuff. I always say this question. I know it's open ended, but kind of go back to the beginning where you feel comfortable, and just kind of walk us a bit through like what kind of got you to where you are. I mean, just a general where you feel like sharing.
Well, I started off as a writer. I mean, it's my core is as a writer. And I published my first book about 12 years ago, I think. And I loved it, and I loved the experience. And I started working on another book, but I wasn't really getting the response from publishers that I wanted.
Right.
I was frustrated, because people aren't reading the way they used to. It's totally different with what people do now. So I was trying to find another way to tell my stories. And I happened to be out in the driveway with my guy drinking and listening to the Bill Burr podcast, which I love. I love Bill Burr so much. And he's just this wonderful comedian. And I'm thinking, well, he's doing something very similar to how I tell stories.
Right.
I was just like, well, hey, why don't I try a podcast and see how it goes? And my guy, who was a musician, he had all sorts of gear. And he said, you know what, let's give it a shot, see how it works. And I mean, it took me a couple of episodes to find my voice, but now that I have, it's this incredible way to, connect with people and tell about all the ridiculous things that happened to me. I used to be a rock writer, so, I worked in the music industry. I dated a lot of rock stars, and, my guy and I were troublemakers. So we drink bourbon, we go out, we get into trouble, and I get to tell all these stories to people like I'm just hanging out in a bar.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's amazing, though. That really is, and how it's great how you transition from book writing, and you found this new niche, so to say, because I think podcasts have really been coming back.
Yeah, it's like the Wild West right now. You've got a million podcasts out there. You've got a lot of big names doing it, and people are starting to recognize now that you can really find anything that you want to listen to in a podcast.
Yeah.
If you're into gardening, there's a podcast for it. Paranormal, true crime, storytelling, they're all out there. You just have to look for them.
And that's really cool. I mean, it's changed the whole face, because now when people are working out, instead of listening to the same couple of tracks that they always got, a lot of them are doing that now. They're catching up on their favorite episodes, like radio episodes and stuff, and tons of podcasters, tons of writers such as yourself. And
yeah, I listen to podcasts all the time. Like most of the time when I'm working, I rather listen to podcasts. It's so interesting. And in a way, I find it kind of starting, not replacing, but kind of like the radio, because that kind of was fading away, and the new generation wasn't really listening to the radio talk show, so to say. And I think in a way, podcast kind of replaces that niche.
Like YouTube did with television kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I meant to say. What do you think about that?
That's the perfect parallel. I really think YouTube and podcasting are on the same track right now.
That's right. So it's not surprising for you to go into both. So that's no, but it's very smart.
I'm trying.
Well, no, I think you're well on your way. I think you're past trying. I think so. So I got to ask you about the bourbon you're drinking.
Oh yeah. This is Blood Oath pack number 4. and it is a blended bourbon, so it's got an average age of about 12 years. Right. And it's incredible. It's almost summery tasting because it's just bright and a little oaky, but there's cherry in it. It's wonderful. And I'm drinking it straight, so you know that it's a really smooth bourbon.
Oh my God, I'm so thirsty right now.
I don't think you'll ever see me without a glass of bourbon in my hand.
I love it.
Is it ever a good idea to mix bourbon with anything?
Oh, sure. Yeah, one of my favorites is mixing something like Maker's Mark with ginger beer. It's the perfect cocktail. It's spicy and a little bright and just so easy to drink on a sunny day.
Well, I want to ask you their opinion on this one then. If you believe that, and I agree with you on it, do you think if once you start mixing, it matters what bourbon you use, or by then you can use a more generic because you're mixing?
Well, it really depends. I mean, I'll use a bourbon that I would drink straight. I mean, I'm not going to mix something like a 12-year bourbon and ginger beer because that's just a waste of good bourbon. But it does make a difference. I mean, if you're talking about a cocktail that relies on the flavors of the alcohol, like say a Manhattan, you want to make sure you're using a really good rye that you would drink straight. It's no different than cooking. You know, you're not going to cook with a wine that you wouldn't drink. You're just going to make sure that you match the value of it versus what you're doing.
That's pretty good. That's a good analogy. I love that. You got me thinking.
Right? I know. Lots of possibilities.
I love it. No, and that's a good way to put it. I believe that too. Like one of my favorite, because I don't drink as much anymore, just don't get out much. But when I go to a bar, I like a Scotch and 7-Up. Like that's always been kind of my go-to drink.
Yeah. You know, Ernest Hemingway used to drink Scotch and lime.
Really?
Drink. Yeah, and I always, when I first heard about that, I'm like, that sounds a little weird. But then I tried it, and I kind of got where he's going with it. It just gives it that like tartness. It's good.
I'd like to try with just the lime. Yeah, that would be interesting. And because the other one, like the 7-Up, gives that lime taste. It's just that kind of. You don't want to get drunk, but you just want to sit with everybody and have a drink. And you don't want to get fancy. That's my one all the time. That's
why I do ginger ale or ginger beer. Those are my favorites.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I'm not a big soda drinker in general. I just don't really like soda. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to do a really easy drink, I want it to have a lot of flavor to it. And that's why I like, ginger ale or even like Italian sparkling sodas, like an orange or something like that. That's really good too.
That would be good. Yeah, that would be really. I had one in. Was it Croatia or Slovenia that was mixed like with that kind of local carbonated?
Yeah,
it was so amazing. It completely changed the taste, like just by the drink itself. It really added to it.
Yeah, it really is.
Sorry,
it's all good.
Somebody mentioned bourbon and bacon, and that made me think. What do you think about all the gimmicks that are coming up with different flavors and?
Yeah, I might be a little controversial here because I'm so against it. I kind of drink bourbon. I don't like it flavored with anything. I don't like it, messed with. I don't feel like you get a quality bourbon experience out of that. But that said, they're doing some new things with the way that they age bourbons, and they've been aging them in different kind of casks, like sherry casks and rum casks, and that's interesting. You get
that would add nice hints to it, eh?
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't taste syrupy. It still tastes like bourbon.
Oh, God, that sounds really good. That would be really interesting.
Yeah. And they're doing that with beers now, too, which is kind of interesting. They're aging beer in bourbon barrels, which is pretty good.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like a fusion cooking has gone into the brewing process.
Right, that's it.
That's so cool.
What is the difference between bourbon and whiskey for somebody who doesn't know?
Yeah, it has to do with the mash bill. So for it to be a bourbon, it has to be at least 51% corn, and it has to be aged in a charred new oak American barrel. Whiskey doesn't have that requirement, so the mash bill can be anything, and there isn't an aging requirement either.
That's right. I learned that from the show Moonshiners, I hate to admit. There, you just found out my guilty secret.
I know that.
That's my show when I want to shut my brain off for an hour and get away from everything.
Totally escapist.
Now that we have a question, and I know the answer to it, maybe you could answer it. Is your podcast mostly about bourbon?
No, it's not at all. I do a small toast at the beginning of the episode where I will talk for maybe 2 or 3 minutes about the bourbon that I'm drinking, and then I go into my bourbon-soaked stories. So my stories are all inspired by bourbon because I drink it so much, and I get a little hammered sometimes, which leads to trouble, and that's where my stories come from. But no, the show is not a bourbon review show.
I think that would make the stories more interesting.
That's part of the fun.
But on the other hand, your YouTube channel, at least at the start, was more dedicated to bourbon, and only lately you have been uploading the podcast episodes as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I started doing the bourbon tasting videos about a year ago, and like I said, this is so new to us. We were just kind of experimenting and playing around with them, and since it was something that I love and know about, it seemed like a good way to go. And now we're trying to grow the channel a little bit. You know, I've included some of my favorite podcast episodes, some of my favorite interviews that I've done, and we're also going to be adding a new area to the channel called Bourbon Soaked Life. And that's where I'll be doing little videos that kind of enhance the stories I tell on the podcast. Like, we're going to the Kentucky Derby this weekend, and we've got a trip to Aruba and New Orleans coming up, and Las Vegas. So that's the kind of stuff that we're going to be putting in there. Really, you know, personal, like, you know, lifestyle stuff.
That is really cool.
That's really interesting.
I think, and you guys, you're a good personality for it. I really see. It's nice. I like when people branch out and come up with series and stuff, you know, and not just go through the same. Well, this is working. Let's just stay there.
Right.
It is good for the creative juices to kind of break things up and divide them in segments.
You're talking we, and I think Healers and Heathens were itching for the question. For what is we? Tell us about the behind the.
The we. That would be my guy. And that's what I call him on the podcast. My guy is my husband, and he's also known as David the producer. And he's my partner in crime. And he's the one that I, you know, get into trouble with. He's the one that produces the podcast and puts together my videos. He edits them. He's my best friend.
Oh,
that's amazing that you guys can share the same interests and same passion for things. I think it enhances like everything.
Yeah.
Not just the work part, but the life part together as well.
But they each bring their own like tools to the game, you know. That's what's nice, and then you make something work out of it. It's a good mix. So.
Oh yeah, we've had so much fun doing this, and it's really great for us just as a couple. You know, it's a total, you know, it's something that we get into, that we love, and it brings us closer, and it's made us better as a couple because we've learned how to like work through stuff this way. You know, like he'll have an idea or I'll have an idea, and then we've got to say, well, no, I don't think that'll work, and it's good for communication.
Definitely, and it's good to have something to bounce things off of, and that I think it either brings you together or like tears you apart. To be honest, there's only two movies that it seems to go.
I can see how that would happen. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, not everybody sees on the same page, so.
Sure.
So I'm going to go back to your music talk. I want to hear more about that when you were with the bands and all that. What you feel like sharing.
Oh, those are dark, dark days. If you've ever seen the movie Almost Famous, that's essentially what my life was. I started as a rock writer when I was about 15 or 16, and I started interviewing all the hair bands at the time.
Really?
Yeah. And I went and worked for a couple record labels after that and did tour publicity. And it was crazy. I mean, all those stories you hear about the craziness of hair bands and rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's worse than you think.
Yes, exactly. That's the stuff that doesn't make the pages.
Right. Yeah. So I talk about that. I talk about some musicians I had the great misfortune of dating, and it's crazy stuff.
Great misfortune.
Yeah, I love
That's exactly what you heard. Yeah.
That was so well put.
I loved it. Yes.
What a great soundbite.
Yeah, I know.
Don't worry, we won't.
No, it's all good. I think it accurately sums it up.
I love that. So, anybody you'd care to mention, or is that something you just keep for you?
You know, on the podcast, you'll notice that I give everybody nicknames, and that's because these are my stories, and I don't want this to become about the celebrity. You know, it's about my stories, and you know, plus I don't want to get anybody in any trouble or anything like that. So.
That's very smart. That's a really good way of looking at it.
Yeah, they're characters, so they're people that I've turned into characters for the show.
I don't know if you know this, but I used to work for a big music company here in Canada called Jam Industries. It's one of the biggest in the world.
Oh, wow, okay.
And we were distributors, so like Marshall amplifiers, once across the 49th parallel, we were Marshall Canada, Digitech, Pearl drums, all those ones. So we worked with the endorsees directly, and that came into Canada. And yeah, I used to work with a lot of those guys, like Dave Mustaine and all that. I worked with Paul Stanley from Kiss when he was with Washburn. Paul Stanley usually changes his endorsements about 3 times a year.
Well, I was going to say, you probably have some good stories there.
Actually, Paul Stanley, I met him, was at the NAMM show in Anaheim, California. Were you ever to the NAMM show?
I did once, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird mix of fully corporate and wild bands.
Yeah, it's a weird like conference setting. If you were to get a bunch of human resources executives, they just let loose, and that's
it is, and they're always watching though their bosses aren't catching them. It's a constant like walking a wire.
Yeah, exactly.
It is kind of stressful that way because like where you are with the band, they want you to enjoy, and then you always have to be like overwatching yourself. It's hard to let fully loose.
Yeah, no, I know you need to be careful, especially when you're working.
Yes, I mean it's a job.
My problem because I was a journalist, so I had to work and play to get the story that I wanted. You can't just sit there and take notes. You've got to get involved. I mean, I wasn't Hunter S. Thompson, but it's still it's crazy.
You walked a really fine line, yeah. And that one's sometimes backstage, seeing everything going on. What can I say? What can I not mention? And
yeah, you learn to be very discreet.
Yes, I'm sure discreet is the ultimate word into it.
For sure.
I had Chad Smith for the Chili Peppers here to do for Pearl Drums, a clinic. And I got him into a hotel in old Montreal, one of these, boutique type, and it's mostly older people staying. And I literally made it 15 minutes away and had to turn around and go get him again because he was cursing and swearing so much that they kicked him out. So I have him sitting in my Mazda Tribute trying to drive him around town to find a place that will take him.
Yeah, you feel like a circus ringleader.
Oh yeah, big time. And a babysitter.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how it rolls.
Another big musician was Paul Stanley was the one with him. We were at the NAMM show, and a kidnapping attempt was called in on them. And we were all laughing, saying that his mother called it in to get him the attention. That was kind of the inside joke. But you got to run with it once it happened. And we had to wait 2 hours till we got 2 undercover LAPDs to come in with 9mm, tucked away and put them in corners. Had a briefing.
That's crazy.
Do you know the guitar player Joe Satriani?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. I interviewed him when he had his Flying in a Blue Dream album.
That's right. The guy who taught Steve Vai.
Right.
And we also did Korg and we did Vox. So he was one of our endorsees, and he was creating this new pedal that came out. And by then I had left because it's, of course, 2-3 years of production. And I've always been good. And that show was the best one I ever was. I never drank, behaved myself. Everything was perfect. And I drank one night. We were all together, the sales reps. And I get in the elevator, and who's sitting across me? But standing across from me was Joe Satriani. And I went, and I'm like, hey, good to meet you. And you kind of just stumble, like not fall, but your hand out. You kind of get the little jitter.
Oh, yeah.
And he shakes my hand. He goes, you were saying to yourself not to do something stupid, right?
But, there's always a moment like that. When I was really young in my career, I managed to weasel my way into this big, it wasn't a record release party. It was kind of like a celebrity Christmas party in a way. And I was trying to get a story for a paper I was writing for. And I was talking to this guy, and I had no idea who he was, and we were talking about a show coming up for Cheap Trick. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I love Cheap Trick. I think they're great. I'm looking forward to the show. Is it worth going to? And the guy's like, yeah, I've been a big Cheap Trick fan for a while. You should go. And then he wanders away. And this guy who was standing next to him just starts cracking up. And I'm thinking, did I tell a joke? What happened? He goes, do you know who you were talking to? No. And he goes, yeah, that was Bunny Carlos, the drummer of Cheap Trick.
No way.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm I need to rethink my career choice if I'm going to do this.
Oh, well, that happens. They're hard to tell.
It's the worst.
That is so great, though. That's an amazing story.
It was not my best moment.
I did that with Eric Peterman. There was a band in the 80s called Testament. They were at one time they thought would be. Yeah, great. Because
I interviewed them too. Yeah.
You got everybody, my God.
They had a band in the 80s. Chances are I've interviewed them.
Oh, they were my favorite. I grew up in rural Quebec, drummer. Like I wanted to be just like them. And I was at the House of Blues in Anaheim at the Disneyland. Disturbed was playing, and I went upstairs. And I was talking to this pudgy guy with long black hair, and he was saying, "Oh, I play in a band with a bunch of idiots. You got to pay the bills." We talked about for 2 hours. We chatted about everything, and I found out it was the guitarist from Testament. And I was like, I could have been gushing for 2 hours if I had known, but it was actually nicer just to talk about everything else.
Oh, yeah.
you know.
It's great to make that connection, you know, even if it's, you know, unexpected.
It is, and you get to know people better once the gushing, you know, when the gushing would have probably gotten away more, you know.
Mm-hmm. Very true, very true.
Well, that's I was just, if we have a second while we're on to it, if you could just bear with me for 1 second here. Some people have seen these already. I'll just bring this up. Yeah, that's from a lot of the NAMM shows there.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That was a lot. There was Paul Stanley there. I took 2 pictures because it looks like it was a wax museum figure. So I figured if I was going to do something, that was quite horrifying. And there was Dave Mustaine. That was my cousin's very first concert, and he was 19, and I brought him backstage for Megadeth's Gigantour. So
nice.
Yeah, he had a smile from ear to ear. And Kerry King and lots of them. Yeah, Kids in the Hall, the Canadian show. A lot of them you see in the U.S. now. Yeah, and a lot of guys from Seven Dust and. Bobby Blitz from Overkill from the 80s.
Oh, sure. I remember them.
Yeah, and George Lynch. And
oh, George Lynch, yes.
There was Warrant. And that's, what's his name from Anthrax?
Oh, yeah, Scott Ian?
Scott Ian, that's right. Yeah, so, yeah, that's some of them there. So
very cool.
Yeah, I actually, because you were talking about drinks, that's my son with Jim Marshall, who created Marshall amplifiers.
Oh, what a great photo! I love it.
He signed my son's amp. We had a joke around the office. Marshall stuff was worth more if he didn't sign it because it was rare. He was an amazing man, though. Yeah,
Wow.
And he drank scotch, single malt, and smoked cigars. And everybody I work with hated cigars, so I would always volunteer to go sit with him for the afternoon and listen to his stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody else is like, "Oh,
history. That's amazing."
Yeah, one of the fathers allowed. So,
oh, so cool.
Who has been your favorite person to interview, or maybe there are a couple of them?
Wow. I wouldn't even know where to start. I mean, if we're just talking recently, I interviewed the comedian Bert Kreischer, and I interviewed comedian Nick DiPaolo, and those are 2 of my favorites because I am a huge comedy fan. I mean, these guys, they're so good, and they're so sharp, and I admire what they do so much. That was huge.
Oh, that's good.
You know, back in the day, though, if we're talking, you know, hair bands, I think the best would be Bon Jovi. Because I had a moment with Jon Bon Jovi. I was I had an interview with them. It didn't go as well as I would have liked. I was nervous because I really loved the band, so it was just I was nervous and uptight a little bit. So it wasn't that great of an interview, but I followed up with it, and I went backstage. I was talking with them, and I walked up to John, and I said, "My mother asked me if I could touch your butt. Would you mind?"
I love that.
And he starts laughing, and he says, "All right, just don't tell my wife." And he turns around, and I got to just like cup that fine butt for like 2 or 3 seconds, and it was lovely.
Oh, that's so funny.
Wow.
My mother asked.
Yeah, it was a beautiful moment. I don't think I washed my hands for a couple of days.
It's so amazing.
And it was almost a dream come true.
Well, I'm glad you got to touch his butt. I'm very happy for it. I had the crowning moment. So.
It really was.
What was your favorite sit-down interview? Like that really went well for you with somebody, like most memorable interview?
That would be an author named A.E. Hotchner. He is about 93 years old, or he was 93 when I talked to him. And he was Ernest Hemingway's best friend. The man toured Spain with him. He wrote with him. They went everywhere together. They hunted. They went to bullfights. I mean, this was his closest friend for at least 15 years of his life. And I'm a huge Hemingway fan. I love his writing. I love just his attitude. And to talk to somebody firsthand who was so close to him and who genuinely knew everything about him and could tell me about his relationship with Scott Fitzgerald, who could, you know, talk to me about, you know, Mata Hari. It was
wow.
It was mind blowing. It was really, I mean, it was like history, you know, right next to me, and I felt like, you know, somehow I played a small part in it, and it was beautiful. I will never forget it.
You can just see in the way you're expressing yourself when you're doing it, and how memorable it was to you. That's an unbelievable honor to get to talk to somebody like that.
It was crazy. But at the time, he just released a new book, and he only gave 3 interviews. He did the New York Public Library, he did NPR, and for some crazy reason, he did my show.
Oh my God, that's an honor.
I don't know what stars aligned. I don't know if like Hemingway from the grave was like, it's all you, but it was amazing.
That's so cool. What an honor.
Oh yeah.
And do you go like when you're interviewing people now, do you do that still yourself, like making the contacts, you're getting help with it?
David does all of my bookings for me, and he's amazing at it. He has a background in sales, so the man knows how to hunt people down and make things happen. Well, he's been like the guy who gets all these great interviews.
That's amazing.
Actually, what's kind of cool is he did a video, and it's on the channel, about how to book celebrity guests on a podcast.
I've seen that part of
it is so in depth. I mean, if you want to get a celebrity on your podcast, you've got to watch this video, because he gives he walks through the entire process of how to do it. It's so useful.
I've seen that video, and that's partly why I got into it. It was the way he did it was then. I mean, I'm going to give him extra props now for it, because the way he did it was, he made it sound like it was like I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. It was almost like a mini documentary on how to do it, and very like not about himself, like the process. Like it was almost like, that's why I was kind of wondering if somebody else was involved or not, because it wasn't I all the time. It was very engaging that way, like you would see on a proper TV show.
Yeah, I mean, he broke it down in exactly what a person needs to do. I mean, it's do this, do this, do this. He has, it's really, really helpful. I tell everybody, just watch it once. And even if you want to land a job interview, this is a great way to start.
That is true. You said a mouthful right there, because that's a skill that can be used in many, many places. No, it was quite impressive. My hat's off to the guy.
I'll be happy to hear that, because he's so good at what he does.
That's a good thing to have in your corner. I mean, it gives you more time to focus on your craft, and you complement each other once again. So that's perfect.
Yeah, great balance.
Tell us a little bit more about the latest interview with the Doc.
Oh, Doc McGhee. He is the renowned manager of all sorts of bands. Right now he's managing Kiss, and he's managed Motley Crue and Bon Jovi. He is just music industry personified. This guy knows everything.
Yeah, your guys' podcast was so funny. He's so funny.
He's a character. He really is.
Well, he's been through the ringer. I mean, he's seen it all up and down 10 times over. And you talk about being discreet. That's the guy that's going to clean up the parts that are discreet,
Right. I know. I mean, he talks about having full contact management skills. I mean, the guy beat up Motley Crue, It's
unreal. Talk about a glorified babysitter plus doing the market side,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this guy, he will take you down to get what he wants. And he was so much fun to talk to, because he's so smart. And he actually got a little bit of insight into Kiss, and a little bit of a scoop just about where Kiss is going to go and what's going to happen when they retire. That was really surprising. I mean, he thinks it's totally possible for Kiss to continue with all 4 new guys in the band. No Gene Simmons, no Paul Stanley, just 4 different guys, but still in the makeup. And he thinks they'll be just as successful as Kiss is.
It's an interesting concept. And you know what I mean? If a man like that can see that, you got to believe that there is a good chance it can happen.
Well, I know, and he made a really good point. I mean, he said you can show a photograph of Kiss to pretty much anybody around the world, and they're going to know who they are.
Right.
And they're that recognizable. So it stands to reason that if they are playing as well as the original members, if they look the same, if it's the same kind of show, it is possible that he could be right. You just don't know.
It's one of those things, if we said it day to day, everybody think you're crazy, but when he says it, everybody takes notice.
Yeah. I mean, if there's a man who knows what he's talking about, that would be Doc.
Like that's like I'm gonna forget the name. I'm just gonna take one of the bands, but it's not necessarily them. That happens so much with the doo-wop bands and everything, like the Temptations and all that. There's nobody left, but even the corporation that owns the band owns the stories, the songs, and they'll be like, "Oh, I remember when he wrote this in 1975," and they haven't even been in the band 3 years.
Right. Well, they're all touring right now. I mean, you look at some of these bands that are out there, and I think Grand Funk Railroad is out there playing, but it's not Grand Funk Railroad. It's one original member, and he's got to call himself American Band now, I think, because he doesn't have the rights to the name, but he's playing all their songs. So
okay. It's a tangle weave. You know, it's hard to believe. Like, look at John Fogerty being sued for sounding too much like himself. You know,
right. Oh, talk about a great live show, John Fogerty. Wow, we saw him 2 years ago. I think he blew me away.
And he's not a very nice person in real life, though. But yeah, he's great on stage. Bit of a cranky guy.
Well, you know what? He's like 70-something. He's been doing this for a long time, and he's still so good. I'll give him a pass.
Oh no, I would too. Yeah, I mean that voice, nobody can replicate it. I mean, what he got sued for was understandable because nobody will have a voice like that again. That's his signature.
Absolutely.
And he still has it. Like it's.
Oh yeah, I mean that man nails every note, and it's like a Chuck Negron from Three Dog Night. I interviewed him 2 years ago, and he's still touring, and he is sounding as good as he did in the 70s. I mean, that guy's got a range like you wouldn't believe.
Oh my God Almighty! It's amazing how some of them can hold on to that, and some of them they just lose it completely.
Oh, I know. And you feel so bad for them too when you see them. You know, you're like, oh, that used to be, you know, in an entirely different key.
Yeah, no. What's his name there from Rat? Stephen
Percy.
Oh God, it was awful. It's like holding my hair listening. You know.
I know. You're like, oh, I'm so sorry.
And there's so much confidence behind it, and it's like, oh, somebody tell this guy, please, like have a heart to heart.
You know, I don't think it would matter. I mean, guys like that, what else are they gonna do? I actually kind of appreciate the fact that he's still out there doing it, even if it's a little cringeworthy here.
Because it is a grind, and I mean, it's harder when you've gone through the grind, gone up, and then go back to the grind. There's not
You know, my guy, he was in a band for a while, and they were playing out with Skid Row for a couple of shows. And I mean, you remember Skid Row in the 80s. You know, they were top of their game. They were selling out amphitheaters. And now, I mean, this was a small club, held maybe 4,000 people. And, you know, you feel bad that they don't have that same recognition that they did before.
I remember when he was Sebastian Bach was on that show. There were it was a reality show where they put a bunch of guys together to make a super band. I think Joe Satriani was in that show, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, sure. I think actually Doc McGhee was on that show too.
Yes. Yeah. That's right. That's 100% right. You had to make a super group. And they were going to cut his hair. They were trying to convince him to cut his hair, you know, look more modern. Couldn't go through with it. And I remember he looked around with his one genuine face and he said, you have no idea how good this feels to have somebody do this for me. It's been so long since I sat in the chair and had somebody, you know, prep him for stage.
Oh.
And I still remember him saying that, like the sincereness in his face when he said it.
Wow. Yeah, it's a change and it's a grind, but you know, that's what you love. You're going to go out and do it no matter what.
A fisherman and a truck driver and a farmer and a rock star all fall in the same category. It's not a 9-to-5. It's a lifestyle. Absolutely. And once you start doing it, it's very hard to walk away and open a corner store somewhere selling something. You know,
Oh, yeah. I feel really fortunate in that I'm a writer because I can adapt it in so many different ways, you know, and it's a nice flexibility to have.
Yeah. Well, and you've definitely been flexible with all the things you're doing now. So it's just been branching and branching and branching. So can I ask you a question before we get any further? I want to know, I'm considering now that where our live streams are going, of maybe converting some of them into a podcast. And I don't know if it's a good idea or not. I'm not, you know, on the fence. I'm on the fence with it, just kind of starting to mull over the idea. And I want to ask your advice with that.
Yeah, I absolutely think you should. I mean, you guys have these great conversations. You know, you're so friendly, you're so personable, you sound great, and you already know what you're doing. I mean, you know, you've got gear, you've got a setup. Give it a shot. You know, what does it hurt? I'm sure people would love listening to it. And plus, you know, you can tie it back to the podcast where you can say, hey, go here, see what happens, see more. I think it's a great idea.
Because I would extract the audio, but then I'm going to, like, of course, bring in and put a little more bass to, like, you know, just to kind of thicken the sound up a bit.
Yeah.
Where's the person to start, like, if they're looking to get into podcasting, like some sites to go to start, like, putting your podcast? I'm not really sure the whole process yet onto it.
Tell us behind the scenes, how does it work?
Well, technical stuff isn't totally my forte, but I can tell you that where we went was Podcasters Roundtable, and Dave Jackson's School of Podcasting. Those were the most helpful resources we had in getting started. I mean, really good technical advice on marketing, on how to host a podcast, where to go, what to do. I think those were our best options. And then we just kind of learned by trial and error, and talking to people in the community. And you guys are fortunate in that, you're already, kind of like verging into the podcast community. So you've got, a tremendous support network already. So you're already 2 steps ahead.
Well, we are lucky to have them. We have and we always say that many times a night. They're the ones, we're just here to give them a great place to hang out. It's the guests in the chat that make the show. And I do believe that intensely. So it's a co-op, it's a group effort. So.
Well, I think there's no reason why you can't turn this into a podcast. I think that'd be a blast. And plus, you'd open it up to an entirely new audience. So why not?
Is there a difference in something between the podcast and I know there's a video part, but like in the way it's happening or the way to talk about it, like is there a difference in
you mean
presenting it?
In presenting it as itself, like as a show?
Yeah.
I don't know what the distinction would be for you guys. I think you already really have a great format. I mean, you talk, you interview people, you have conversations. I don't really see a need to change anything that you do.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Because I was always wondering if we should keep the opening part, because like the first 20 minutes is when we talk to everybody, and should we cut it maybe when we do the podcast down to when the guests come on?
Well, what I would suggest doing with the very start of your show, you need to have some sort of opening line that defines what the show is and what people are in for when they start listening.
Right.
I think my biggest complaint with some podcasts is that they start, and I don't know what I'm in for.
Right.
Are you talking about comic books? Are you talking about wrestling? If it just opens with a conversation, I find that a little off-putting in a podcast.
Yeah.
So if you can come up with like an elevator pitch, open with that, and then maybe do like a music lead, and then just roll into the show, I think you'd be fine.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Lots of podcasts do it. There are lots of conversational podcasts like that. So if you go out there and listen to a couple and see what they do and see what you like, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, and I've always been an advocate for that. I mean, that's the same in YouTube or anywhere. One of our, she's not here right now, but Miss Kathy is one who noticed the other night, very good eye to her. She said, I like the way you do the things old school and put the hashtag in front of the numbers on our live stream. And that's really great to notice, because all I did was just go and look at a couple of live streams and like, oh, Joe Rogan puts number signs. Works for him.
Absolutely. You watch and learn.
Yep, you're not copying everything that they do, but you can take bits and pieces here and there and make it your own, from all
time. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what you do. It's being inspired by other things.
Yep. I tell people that too for making thumbnails, and that was a great example. As we take Linus Tech Tips, it's a big YouTuber out of Canada. They're about 5.6 million. They're one of the big tech ones. I watch what they do, and I take bits and pieces because they've already done all the studies. So if their thumbnails need more engagement, and if you have faces on it, you have to distort your face overlaid for people to notice it more. Like he said, I don't like it, and I don't want my kids to see me like this. But he goes, it's done for a reason. It's done because it's been proven to work. They've spent the money to figure out what works. Why rack your brain for weeks trying to come up with a new wheel?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a process for everything, and you just adapt it so that it works best for you.
Do you get inspired by writing, like for your own books? Not that you plagiarize, I don't mean it that way, but I mean, do you get little things you'll read sometimes and think, oh, I like this little tidbit, and it kind of comes back in some of your own work?
Absolutely. I think I think it's crucial as a writer to read everything that you can. I mean, especially the works that you admire the most. But I also read books that I'm not necessarily a fan of, just so that I can see how they're written and learn from that as well, But what I do notice is that I do have a lot of stylistic things that I do that I feel, represent a lot of the writers that I like. Obviously Hemingway's one of them. Charles Bukowski is another. And I feel like I occasionally catch myself falling into a couple of lines that are just a little too similar to that. So, you just have to make sure that you're always aware of what you're doing and not deliberately, trying to channel somebody too hard.
I like that. That's a good expression, actually. Well, I mean, a lot of musicians go through that too. You know, you get a riff, you play it, you're like, guys, you got to check it out. When you start playing, they're like, yeah, we've heard that already.
Yeah, and like if you look at like a Blurred Lines, that song from Robin Thicke.
Yes.
It's a fine line, you know, between being inspired by something and then actually lifting something.
Yeah, that's a great example of that too.
Yeah, I feel bad for the guy, but it's it was pretty obvious when you look at the chord progression of where that's.
You got to be very careful,
especially
this day and age. You know, I tell people here, it's like everybody loves Spotify because yes, it helps you, and Shazam, excuse me, because it's great to hear a song in one day. That's also the same technology that's going through all of our podcasts and YouTube videos. Finding it, it's the same. It's like GPS using from army signals. You know, it's the same thing.
That's it exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, or about on photography in the phones, face detection for portrait photography. You know,
that's right.
It's the same thing. So it's always both sides of the coin for sure.
A lot of Big Brother going on.
Yeah, my God. I am all into conspiracies.
Yeah. That she is. I hear about them all. Believe me. Yeah.
I grew up in well, now it's a post-Soviet country, so I think there's part of my in-depth thinking of having the conspiracy theories behind everything.
Well, I find that fascinating. I mean, I don't know a lot of them. I think my favorite one is just about the airport in Colorado and all the underground tunnels and everything. And I love alien conspiracies. Those are
there you go. You're off, ladies. I'll sit about that.
We have to have a complete separate show just about all the controversies and all the. Oh my God!
I'm such a realist. That's a bore for. Yes. I agree. It's boring.
He's opposite of that completely.
We were telling the story when we got married in Iceland. We watched the finals for FIFA, and Germany played, I forget against who, and we left. And you don't see cops much in Iceland. It's all cameras. And we're coming down over this gulch, and this car's coming the other way, and there's a cop car behind it with the lights flashing, and they had those little flags, the German ones, because they were playing. And she's right into it. No, they probably think that we're drinking, or they probably don't like the German team. That's why they're pulling them over. I'm like, do you ever think that we're speeding? Like, is that? Can we just try that angle for a moment? But
right. The simplest explanation is probably the most true.
The most boring by the looks of it. So
no, I still don't believe it happened like that. So
yeah. I told the very short version. I got the 20-minute extended cut. Well, I love her though, but. Yeah.
We were talking earlier about music, and obviously, like people stated in the chat, you have met, interviewed, and be behind the scenes with so many amazing people. But what do you listen on your everyday basis? What is the music that you love listening to?
My favorite is country. I am a huge country music fan. In fact, we're going to go see Randy Houser in a week, which I am so excited about. He's such a cool country guy. He's not bro country, which I personally cannot stand. He's really more raw. He's more rock and roll. He's just a cool guy. And I love classic country like Brooks and Dunn, George Strait, Alan Jackson. And my guy has actually brought me into soul music as well. I love a lot of the old 70s stuff and Spinners, the OJs. I have kind of a crazy mix on my iPod going, but
yeah, but I think that's very important to have. And if you've worked with a lot of musicians, they don't have very many limits. They listen to everything. It's the audience. I used to have an expression, I don't hate a certain genre of music, but I really don't like the audience. That's pretty much what I was hearing by. But I like the musician.
Yeah.
That's, and country, Neil and I were talking about the other day. If anybody says they don't like country, but they love 80s rock, there's something very drastically wrong.
I know. Country music today is really the new 80s rock. Half of these bands sound like Bon Jovi. They really do.
Def Leppard, Cinderella, you can hear it time and time again in their influences.
Absolutely. And even I listen to a lot of music from the 70s. I love a lot of swamp rock, that Creedence sound and, Allman Brothers. And, prior to that, I used to listen to a lot of Linda Ronstadt, and I'm a huge Michael Nesmith fan. His solo stuff is very alt country. He was one of the forerunners of the alt country scene. Graham Parsons. So for me, it's not that big of a stretch to go from, these 80s bands into the country scene today.
No.
I'm very so much fun just like digging in and like, going back and finding new things. It's cool to have a new outlet like that.
Well, it's just the difference between a distortion pedal and a heavy overdrive, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's cool. That's nice. I mean, in that part, it's a throwback. To me, country was still like my dad was like Merle Haggard and that growing up. My dad was a huge bluegrass fan, all the old guys, Waylon Jennings, bluegrass.
Sure. Yeah.
Those guys were so badass, those old country guys. They were amazing. They were more than the rock stars of today, or even the 80s.
Oh, yeah. Just that like hardcore, like old Johnny Cash. And yeah, they're cool guys.
Even like people like George Jones, like getting pulled over in a log tractor on a freeway because he was drinking.
Yes, that man. Wow, talk about hardcore.
Those were the guys that Motley Crue couldn't keep up with half the time. They would talk about the country guys.
Very true.
Yeah. People don't realize they were crossing back then. They think there was such a great divide. Once again, it was the fans that were divided. But these guys were connecting in cities when they were both playing and partying. And
Absolutely.
Imagine a night with Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson.
Oh. Wow, that would be a blast.
That would be one for the ages. Throw some Chris Christopherson into it. And
Chris Christopherson. My guy adores him.
He's got something about him. Like, he's a god-awful singer, but there's just something about him that pulls it off.
He's not an awful singer.
She hates when I say that. I think he's
great in duos, especially. I love him. I don't know.
It's an authentic voice.
Yes.
Sunday Morning Coming Down by him is one of the saddest, most depressing songs that ever caught a hang.
I know. I'm not a tearjerker. I'm not into that kind of thing, And
but me neither. But that song it doesn't make me cry. It makes me feel like, my God, I got to clean up my life here. Like.
I know. It just makes sense.
He really captured what it's like to be hungover on a Sunday, like when there's. God.
Well, I'll tell you, that's why I like reading Charles Bukowski, is because he's so raw. You get this just vivid picture of life in the 70s in Southern California, and it's just it's so real. I love it, and it actually reminds me a lot of that kind of song where you're getting that vivid picture. It's so much fun.
That's cool. What about Fear and Loathing?
I'm not a huge Hunter S. Thompson fan.
That's what I was wondering.
Stream of consciousness for me. I mean, I love what he did. I admire it, and I think his piece on the Kentucky Derby is brilliant.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, I'm not into that whole drug-fueled, psychedelic kind of madness that he had. It's just a little too much for me.
Yeah, no, and I get, because I was curious, because once we were talking about the 80s bands, then I was curious if there was any connection to his writing. That's why I thought I'd bring him up. So
yeah, and I mean, I get it. Everybody asks me that, but I am definitely a boozer, not a druggie. So.
Oh, and I didn't mean it. I just meant because seeing the scene around you.
Lifestyle goes. That's where I'll roll. Hemingway drunk, Charles Bukowski a drunk.
Yeah, and I get where you're coming from. Like, even that part when playing and that, like, I never liked I was pretty wild, but I didn't like being around wild people. Like, after a while, it got too much. Like, there's some people that push it for the sake of pushing it, and some people do it because they enjoy it. I like the enjoyment ones, the pushing ones it was more of a fake, over the top.
Yeah, I had to learn that lesson the hard way. I dated a lot of guys like that. None of the relationships ended well, and I had a girlfriend who was like that, and it's I like the crazy ones. I'm interested in them, but it's not the right way to go for me.
No, and genuine is genuine, and like genuine crazy versus like manufactured crazy.
Right. The ones who are just doing it to push people's boundaries and see what happens.
There's a gift in that. That's another artist form right there.
Very true.
We hate to admit it, but I mean, you look at Axl Rose and all these guys. I mean, they wouldn't have been the songwriters or the stars they were without it, unfortunately.
I know, and that's one of my biggest feelings about Stephen King, of all people, is that I love the books that he wrote when he was raging on cocaine.
Yeah.
And these days, I'm just not into it.
Yeah.
I hate saying that. I don't want to say that somebody's talent is based off of their addiction, but some people need that boost.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It's not right, but it is what fuels them. Unfortunately, it's where they're most creative, is when they're feeling the pain from it.
It's true. Very true.
Yeah. Do you play any music instruments yourself?
No, and I've tried. Oh, I've tried singing. I love to sing, and I am terrible at it. And I've got a couple of really funny stories on the podcast about flying my way into a recording studio, putting down tracks on an album, and having to be auto-tuned. It's just, yeah, my singing is not good. And my guy tried to teach me how to play bass once, and that didn't do well either.
That doesn't do well for relationships. Sometimes the teaching of the instrument.
Yeah, I always wanted to learn how to play the guitar. I always have this romantic idea in my head, you know, about playing a guitar by the fireplace on the beach, you know, summer night. And but I don't think that's ever going to come true because my husband refuses to teach me. He says it's going to ruin the relationship.
Well, there's such a technical thing to it, and having to like coordinate my hands, and I have no rhythm to begin with, so it's just not a good idea.
Another question. That was actually one of the questions from the chat. The other question is, what about that skeleton behind you? What is that?
Oh, my friend Golly. Yeah, he's we picked him up in Michigan, and that's actually a funny story. My guy and I were up in Michigan with our two closest friends in the world. They have a cabin up there on the lake, and it was like an art festival weekend, and we had been drinking all day long. I mean, drinking like heathens. And we went to this art festival, and we're walking around, and my guy and I saw him standing up in a corner with a couple of other skeletons, and for whatever reason, he just appealed to us. We loved this thing. So, you know, we're hammered, and we're like, we want the skeleton. And he's very light. You can pick him up very easily. So I pick him up, and I'm carrying him around with me, just like, you know, walking around with a skeleton under my arm. And, you know, we pay for him, and we walk out. And so our friends are laughing because now, you know, it's not 4 of us, it's 5. We've got this skeleton. And we decide we need food. So we're not driving anywhere, of course.
Yeah.
So we decided that we're going to walk to this roadhouse, and it's about 5 or 6 blocks away from where we are. So we're walking along this like dirt highway, and it's me, my guy, he's carrying the skeleton, and our 2 friends, and we're just like laughing up a storm. We're dirty, we're sweaty, we're swearing, and you know, cars are blowing past us and honking their horns, and we get into this roadhouse. And this is a roadhouse. I mean, this is where bikers hang out. You know, they have a chick on the pole in the background, and we walk in, we sit down at the bar, and we're so loud and so rowdy. We've got this stupid skeleton with us that we actually got kicked out of the roadhouse with our skeleton.
Oh my
God. They're like, you guys, out. And we're like, what was it, the skeleton? What was it? And they're like, we don't want your kind here. And we're like, oh, fine. So then we walk him home. But he's kind of been my companion, you know, in writing. And he's just, he looks cool. And every so often.
He does, and definitely a good conversation piece because it, you know, had an attention of our listeners here and viewers as well.
I love scaring my guy with him. I'll leave him outside doorways if he's got the door closed and he's in like our podcast studio recording, and I'll just like sit him right in front of the door.
Oh my God!
I'll open it up. It'll be 2 o'clock in the morning, and the only thing you'll see is the skeleton.
Do you like doing practical jokes on your guy?
No, just that one.
Just that one. It's effective enough.
That's all I need because his reaction is always perfect. I mean, it is full on jumping up in the air and yelling, and he finds his ways to get back at me, so it's okay.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good. Well, continuing on about your podcast, I know that there are some amazing plans coming up with regards to some talks about the movies and animations.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
We are in conversations with a film production studio right now, and we're talking about turning 5 or 6 of my stories into an actual web series. So it's a little bit like Sex and the City, where it would have live actors acting out my scripts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're super early in the conversations. Now, obviously, nothing has been signed. We don't have anything officially set, but we're talking about storylines. We're talking about characters to feature, and we're hopeful that within the next year or so, we're going to be able to make this a reality.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations. And I'm sure the response is going to be great because you have so many amazing stories. I come up with a question right away is how you can ever choose what to talk about on your podcast, because what I find is easy for us to do our lives is because most of the time we have guests on. So, it is a conversation and it's easier to carry on than if it would be just us, even just the two of us, or even harder when it's just one person. And I wonder sometimes how it is when it's only you, how you carry on that conversation with the invisible listener.
I'm a talker. I like talking, and I love telling stories. So it's really natural for me. For the stories that I tell, I kind of make out a rough outline of how it's going to roll. I hit certain plot points, make sure I develop the story out well enough so that when I go and sit down in front of my microphone, it's like I'm just in a bar telling stories to my friends. I just kind of envision that I'm sitting there and, just trading chats over booze. It's just, it feels very conversational and fun to me.
That's very cool. So it's kind of like you go into character, like.
I don't know. I think it's not quite character. It's more just, it's storytelling mode. I have to think about what I'm doing. I don't like to tell a loose story. I like there to be a beginning, a middle, and end. Right. I like it to come together and have, funny parts or sad parts. So it is, there's a little bit of a production to it, but it's still just, my stories. It's still, it's still just a conversation between friends.
That's very cool.
Do you, do you write ahead of time what you're going to be talking about, or is it unscripted?
Because you mentioned about like a bit, but we're wondering like how much goes into it. Is it just a couple of points?
Do you write it ahead, like all the text you're talking?
It's a balance. It's a very detailed outline that I do. I'll write down, it's just a very structured sort of point by point, where I want to go. I'll write out a couple of lines that I like that are really descriptive about where I was, or little reminders about things that I remember that I want to talk about. And I just kind of go from there. And I rehearse very, very thoroughly. My guy will come home and he'll find me, in the living room just talking to myself. I'll talk in the car. I am constantly telling my stories aloud to make sure that when I do get on the microphone, I know where I'm going.
Yeah, that's cool though. Because I would find that hard too. And that's what I find the fear for me of, always it was live streams before. But like I always look at a vlogger and I think like, how do you do it? Like, how do you walk out in a park somewhere, put a camera in front of you, and just kind of engage with it? And I find that such a hard concept.
You guys are so comfortable. You sit there, you're talking with people, you're having these great conversations. I think you guys are amazing at what you do. I couldn't do that. I'm not that like open. I can't, keep track of what people are saying and commenting back. You guys are so good at that. I really think you guys are amazing.
Oh, you're too sweet.
Yeah, no. We still feel like such beginners into that. And yes, although we have had like a show almost every day since we started, so it is more condensed version of having live shows once or twice a week. It still feels so new because we started only a month ago, right?
And we have our Tuesday Tech Talk where it's usually just the two of us one day a week. And it's nice then because it's safe, but I wonder if we did it every night, just the two of us, I think it would be very hard. Where if the guest really makes it so much easier, where when you're doing vlogging, it's just you and the camera. There's no feedback, there's no nothing, just looking at the lens. And to me, that sounds terrifying. And I admire who does it.
I like that. I'm a very antisocial kind of person in a lot of ways. I'm introverted, so for me, it's very comforting to just sit there and be talking to myself.
I love it, though. I think that's such a great gift. I really do. It's like when you watch somebody play guitar or something, you say, wish I could do that. Some people can. I really appreciate when people can do that great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love it. This is so much fun, and it's scary, exciting to be going out and doing this YouTube thing now. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, but you're the type of person that can really you put me in mind of somebody who can, I want to do this, and I do it. And you mightn't feel like you're always prepared, but you're always willing to really jump into it. And I think that's 90% of it right there for you.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I will try anything here. I'll make sure that we're prepared and we do a good job. And if it doesn't work, then I'll move on. We're always evaluating and making small goals for ourselves and seeing how it rolls.
But it's good like that. It's The web is a great place. It's also a great place to become very stale.
Yeah, that'd be easy.
I think it's a bigger trap than a lot of people even realize they've fallen into, and that's why it's always nice when I hear people doing stuff like this, putting trying as many new things, exploring, because a lot of people are like, I want to build a YouTube channel, and it's YouTube all the way and nothing else. Even Twitter, we're preaching to some people, like, sometimes you got to get Twitter because that helps promote your videos. They're so focused on YouTube they can't see anything else.
Right. Well, in the time that you guys have been doing this, what's the biggest thing that you've learned? I mean, what would you tell me as advice in getting started?
Don't do what we do. Because we're the last people in the world to get advice from.
You must have something.
I really believe, and I know it sounds cliche, but if you have a good chat and a good guest, everything just kind of falls into place. It takes most of the pressure off of us.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's what like, I don't know, like, we make their monitors almost out of everybody here, because for the simple reason it's kind of the old expression, everybody's on the same level.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, you've got a great community going, so.
They are.
Yeah. And I think what we are all about, and what we're trying to, I think, with the success to present, that we are very friendly and welcoming. What the end result is, we would love for people to feel like they are in our living room, because that's where we are right now. Having the conversation with us and our guests together.
Yeah.
It's not just us and you. It's us, you, and them, right? So it's all of us creating it together, and I hope that's what we are getting out there, that it is welcoming and relaxing place to come at the end of the day, because we are now in Eastern time. It's evening. You can just put your feet up, relax, and listen to conversation.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I love it. You guys are doing such a good job.
It's fun, and this way we get to know everybody better. And for YouTube, I believe that's important, because once they get to know you, we noticed that with our own videos, because we've never appeared in them. So when we finally did appear live, people were like, oh, I get it now, because they didn't know if it was 1 or 10. They didn't know if it was a man or woman. Because like, she would like talk at a makeup channel, and oh, I love that color, I don't know, 42 red. And I would be like, oh, they should put a Hemi in that Chev sometime. And nobody knew what we were, they couldn't.
So on our first live stream, when we were as guests on a live, people were like, "Oh, there are two of us," because they thought there was one person with completely different sets of interests, maybe some split personality or something. I guess they were surprised to see that there are two of us.
And people can blend, but I mean, like, Xenia and I couldn't answer more male or female if we tried. So it's not even like a close gray area. So it must have been very confusing for people. So.
I think the other point is, and I think we are repeating it to people that are asking, and again, we are not experts on anything, really, is to stay you, and that's what we usually try to say, because I think when we, with everything in life, really, but in YouTube especially, because it's a visual thing, right? And as visuals people, you can pick up on each clue of the face expression and hand gestures, so you can't really for long pretend somebody you are not, because your stature, your body, is gonna give that out, the same as it would in your regular day-to-day conversations with people. So I think the best thing to do is to be you, because that's what drives people the most. The raw you, with your mishaps, with your bad day, and sometimes it's good, because it drives you closer to people that are watching you, because you're the same as them. It's no different, right? Just now you're on this side of the lens, and tomorrow there's going to be one of them, because there's also a lot of creators there. So staying true to what you are in your real life, I think, is the best way to go with.
That's great advice. Thank you. Yeah, because I worry about that. I mean, putting that visual element to it, all of your insecurities are out there for people to see. So,
it's raw. It's raw. Like we don't like for instance, some people use like green screens and they'll put like news backgrounds going on, and try to make it something that's not. But then last night we had Coriolis Effectment on. I don't know I think you were in the chat for a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
I was. Yeah.
Like, they're fantastic, those guys, because they do it the right way. They don't, they play with it and don't try to make it look like a news background. They have fun with it, make it quirky and that, and it works with their personalities. So they are using some elements, but they're using it to enhance what they are, not hinder what they are.
Right. That makes sense. And I think for me, it'll be a little bit easier if we're, on vacation or out doing something, because I'll have a little bit more surroundings then to like kind of play off of. I think that'll make it a little easier, but I'm scared. It's crazy. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but I find the same as us. You appeared on a stream. I find that takes away some of the nerves for when you do your own.
Yeah.
True.
It's easier to be a guest at first than to be the host, I find. And then
you kind of like test the waters a little bit, you feel it out, what works. Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's good. And when you get into it, you'll take deep breaths. I mean, it's probably the same when you started your podcast, like when you first sat down in front of the mic.
Whew, that was scary. Yeah, it just and it's like you said, just being confronted by that one microphone in front of you and figuring out how to work it and how to know what to say and what to do. It's those first 10 or 15 episodes, they're raw. They're not my best work, and I'm always tempted to kind of delete them and just make them die in a fire. But but they're part of the show's evolution, and I'm getting more comfortable with that. I mean, it may not be my best work, but it still leads up to where I am, which is where I feel really comfortable. So it's all a part of the growth process.
You can say to somebody, "Oh, I just got the new Van Halen Fair Warning album," and they'll say, "Oh, that's a great album." But if you say to them, "I have one of their demos from 1975," and people go out of their mind, there is something to be said for raw, because you see where it all came from.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy. You're very right.
I do believe in that. And I understand sometimes if you get rid of something because you change direction, some people, because it works better with them, especially some people that start on YouTube more raw and then change their direction. I can sometimes see where they're doing that because they don't want to impede the new stuff. But in general, yeah, I think you should keep the evolution. Like our first 3 live streams are actually a picture of a stream that says live stream on it. Like we were like, I don't know what to put. Oh, I got a picture here of some water, so we'll have a
yeah, you learn as you go along.
That's right. And I could go back and put the new version on top of it. And I always say, I'm like, you know what? Let's leave those streams be the way they are for now.
Leave it.
Maybe someday, but for today, I choose not to.
Exactly.
So what is the future for your channel and for your podcast? What is it that you see it to be in a couple months from now? And what is, let's say, in 3 years from now? Where do you see yourself in both of these media?
Well, I think I can give you the same answer for both, because I'd said earlier that we make small goals for ourselves going along. So right now, the podcast is in a great place. I know what I'm doing there. I have a routine. I have a process. So we're going to keep doing that and, work on developing the web series off of that and keep bringing in great guests to interview and telling stories. But, now it's starting this YouTube channel and seeing where that goes. I'm going to be putting up episodes of the podcast on there. I'll be doing some more of my interviews on there, more bourbon tasting videos. But the fun is going to come in developing these bourbon soaked light videos and showing people the real stuff that I talk about on the podcast. Because everybody asks, did you really do that? Did you really steal that? Stuff like that. So I want to show them, well, yeah, here's me doing it.
Hey, see, there's where we just made a mistake. I had another window because I had to check their messages, and then I realized we had it on us the whole time you were telling the story. I'm sorry about that.
What is it that you... Let's try the question. Who would you want to interview like you always wanted to, and you still haven't done that?
There is one person on my list. I have one white whale, and I'm circling the wagons around him, and that would be Bill Burr, the guy who inspired me to start this whole podcast thing.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be so cool?
He's so cool. He's so good. I've interviewed everybody in the circuit. I've talked to Ari Shaffir. I've talked to Bert Kreischer. I've got to get to Bill Burr, and we're working on it. Someday it'll come together.
I was going to say, if there's anybody going to make it happen, you guys will definitely do it.
Oh, yeah. Me and my guy, we will get him. If we have to tie him up and drag him into the podcast studio,
that would look nice on your YouTube channel.
That would be a really good video. Keep watch for that. It's the Bill Burr abduction video.
Have you been working the crowd a little bit? Have you gotten through his management or?
No. David has some contacts, and we interviewed one of the writers for his show, F is for Family. So we have ins. We're just waiting for the right moment, because there's an art to this. You know, you can't just reach out to a person and say, "Hey, talk to me."
Of course.
Thing. And for somebody like him, you know, he needs to be promoting something. There needs to be something that he wants to talk about.
Right, very true.
My cousin, the picture I showed you where he met Dave Mustaine that night, like he was so excited, he was grinning, and Dave walked out at the end, and we waited for an hour, and he was almost a bolt. I'm like, wait. He hates when people rush him, so let the other ones go in. And he blew them off within 5 minutes, because I met him like 3 or 4 times, so you get to know this. And then I see the question, like he kind of maybe, you know, he meets so many people. I don't think we're best friends, but like he's like, who are those guys? And then we turned around. He spent like 40 minutes with my cousin, because I told him, I said, this is my cousin's first concert, and he had his hair pulled up. My cousin thought it was gonna be this, like, you know, evil monster guy. He's like, "Oh, I'm so glad, I'm so honored you picked my concert as your first one, and would you like some coffee?" You know, and he's like walking around as like Mother Hubbard, you know.
Experience. Well, you did it just right, you know, and gosh, just to you know, give somebody that's awesome.
Well, people's people, and would you want to be mobbed around, and would you want somebody to go up and right in your face clicking pictures and that? I mean, they're human beings the same as everybody else. Exactly. It's all about timing, especially when you're working with celebrities.
Oh yeah, you've got to keep that in mind. You know, they're people too. They have schedules, they have stuff they have to do, and you know, talking to you is low on their list of priorities sometimes.
Exactly. They don't hate you. It's like when you could do well in YouTube, you can't reply to every comment if there's 5,000. Right. Imagine what a celebrity's like when they get out and, you know, 400 people mob them per minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's. How do you know where to look? You
yes.
Have to, you know, be gracious.
That's exactly it. And always remember that if they do it with you, they have to do it with everybody. So sometimes they don't, because they don't want to let other people down.
Very true. Yeah, I mean, for every interview request that we put out there, you know, we'll throw out 40 requests, you know, and get 1 yes. Yeah. So, you know, that's just how it works.
Throw a wide net.
Yeah, it's definitely a big, like, a work behind it as well. And I don't think I ever thought about it when we started this, how much of the background work it is, you know, to organize and manage the calendar and each scheduling. And also with the live here too, it's a time zone difference that you have to schedule with guests. Because, like, for example, in 2 weeks from now, we're going to have a guest from New Zealand, you know, and then we have a guest from UK and from the, you know, West Coast, and we always start at 8 o'clock. So it's hard to schedule all the calendar because of these time difference as well. And, you know, I never thought about that before we started this. So.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest challenge my guy and I have is actually coordinating between each other, because I'm not a technology fan. I rarely, you know, I don't have a digital calendar. I use a notebook. You know, I have a little hand calendar that I scribble notes in. So, you know, my guy has to, you know, come find my little handwritten calendar, confirm things, or, you know, it's just, I make it very hard on him sometimes.
That's a writer thing, I'm sure.
It is, but, you know, he'll commit to something thinking, okay, you know, well, we have a calendar on the refrigerator, I didn't write anything on that date. And I'm like, oh no, you know, I've got this and this and this going on. And he's like, oh, why don't we have a Google Calendar? And I never use it.
I'm going very old school too. I have this every month. I print out this huge calendar paper and just write everything by hand.
That's it's got a visual element. It's right there. You can scribble on it. I'm very tactile that way.
Exactly. Same thing here. It just seems so easier. I don't know why.
Absolutely.
I'm dying a little inside.
Well, thank you so much for coming to our
You have an amazing
show.
story, and I mean, you know the old expression, since your music, your future's so bright, you definitely have to wear shades.
Oh, thank you so much. I really, guys, I appreciate being on here so much. I mean, like you said, you know, it's easier to be the guest and, you know, kind of, you know, test it out. And you guys are so nice and you've been so gracious. So thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you so much for reaching out to us. I think it's so amazing how really the podcast community is so welcoming, kind of open the door, you know, starting with Healers and Heathens and you guys. And we're looking forward to connecting with even more from your family because it's so exciting that we can merge these mediums, you know, and work together.
Absolutely. Well, hey, we're bridging the way, right?
That's right. That's right. And we're both out, like everybody's kind of going into each other's territory a bit, you know, like we were saying just a while ago, and you as well, you know, and that's a good thing. That's a healthy thing.
Yeah, it takes a village, right?
Exactly.
That's right. Well, this village might send you a couple of messages sometime for help.
Anytime you need help, absolutely. I'm not technically inclined, but David is, and he is on the ball. He is always ready to help anybody.
And same with us for you as well. I mean, we know, like I said, we haven't mastered this yet, but if there's anything we can help with, please never be shy to ask. So,
of course, yeah. Thank you for that.
Is there anything that you wanted to add that we haven't asked you, or we forgot to tell about you?
No, not at all. I mean, I think just the website is the unwritablerant.com, and that's got all of my stuff on it. It's got the podcast, it's got my book that I wrote, it's got all my social media links, and I have a merch store where I sell flasks, and it's got everything you want. So just go to the unwritablerant.com.
Perfect. Xenia just posted the link again, guys, so definitely check it out. We have it in the video description as well. A very gracious host tonight. You were so good to us. Your time is valuable, especially with everything that's going on. So we truly appreciate you coming to spend time with us.
Oh, no problem, guys. Cheers.
Yes. Again, wish it would be bourbon.
Now I feel like such a.
Maybe next time.
I'm going to buy bourbon.
Yes. Well, I need to refill my glass.
There you go. Time for that. Thank you so much for coming, and have a great night, and we are looking forward to your next podcast and YouTube series.
Yep.
Oh, thank you, guys.
And as we say in here, cheers and keep on creating.
Cheers to you.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Bye.
Oh my God,
that was amazing, wasn't it?
She is so well spoken. Like, it's unbelievable. Like that, I wish I could have that kind of confidence. It's so amazing to listen to her. You almost kind of get swept into it, you know. Definitely for great for podcasts.
I mean, she has so many amazing stories to talk about. I really wish she would be writing another book, like memoirs or something, because podcast is great, and her podcasts are amazing. If you guys haven't heard them yet, you're not familiar.
She's very immersive. You really forget that, you know, you kind of drift off.
Yeah, it's like it is in a way like audible book, like audio book, you know, because her stories are very interesting and quirky and funny. Yeah, it's just very entertaining to listen to, and the more you listen, the more you want to know how do the stories evolve and all that, and of course the amazing interviews with celebrities that she has had on her podcast as well. It's truly is a great content to have on your headphones while you're going around your life.
She's a true artist.
Yes.
You know, I really like you can see that she's been well schooled in this writing. Like she said, you know, she is basically like a living version of the movie Almost Famous. You know, started writing for bands at 15, 16, traveling with rock stars and everything else, and that she's lived quite a life. So the podcast says 80s is cool. Definitely. The 80s are always cool.
Thank you guys for being so engaging and having the questions and support for our guest. As we said, the podcast and YouTube communities are starting to merge, and although it might not seem, for example, like our guest has a lot of supporters on YouTube channel, she's very well known in the podcast community and only is starting her YouTube journey, so to say. And we are very happy to be here to support that, and hopefully our community can show how great and welcoming they are, because podcast family is very friendly and welcoming.
They are, guys. They're great supporters of the ones that have gone into YouTube and that. Like, it's unbelievable. It's so nice. There's so much pushing and growth with them and that. So yeah, if you can get a chance to check her YouTube channel out, I'm sure you'll be getting.
Click it in.
Yep, perfect.
So definitely check it out and see what it's all about, as well as you can see what her podcast is about on her website. By the way, that flask is really cool. You got to check in that merch store. I don't drink, you know, often enough to have it probably, but I would just love just to have water in it. It's so cool. So check that out too.
She's got a great flair to her, like when she talks.
Oh yeah.
You know, and the bourbon and the whole, you know, and she's so comfortable. Like she says she's not, it's like God almighty, it just seemed like she was more prepared than we were.
Yeah, I know. That's the confidence is really amazing. Hi, Doug. You just tuned in. Unfortunately, we just tuned out with our guests, so you will have to go back and watch the amazing conversation with our guest, Juliette Miranda. But we're always nice and happy to see you here anyway. Steph Apple as well. Oh no, you yesterday you tuned in right before we finished our live. New Orleans, yes. Well, yeah. We're just sorry we can't be on all the time zones at the same time.
I was laughing at St. Otto's cool, but I don't want to live through the 80s or the 70s again.
Well, we had recently had her almost right from the beginning, but also she's a very busy person, and you know, we got to let people go and do their own thing as well. We would love to have her more than for 30 minutes more.
Yeah.
You know, all the stories just to go through, there wouldn't be enough of the time to do that for sure. And you know, maybe we'll have her again sometime.
Exactly. Yes, there's no law against that, so that would be nice. I'm definitely going to do so. Oh, running late. Doodle says running late tonight. Restless little ones. Oh, that's keeps you busy, I'm sure. I don't doubt that for a second. Bottle Cap says now I need a cigarette. Creole's effectment. The microphone guys are all related to the podcast scene. That's true. That is true. I like to get a good microphone. I really want to have that NPR or CBC radio sound.
You want to hang it from the ceiling here?
No, right in front. Those big giant ones. So you get that big bassy sound in your voice. And you just whisper and it comes right through. Sounds all comforting.
All of you are here. Yes.
Yeah.
All of them are here.
And it's good to have all of you here.
I love it. TGH Travels today said, and I'm definitely going to be tweeting it out later on today or tomorrow, that greatest evening entertainment on YouTube, Puša Studios.
That was really cool.
So cool. Thank you so much for all the
guys. That stuff means so amazing when you see something, stuff like that. Or who was it tonight that said, you know, it's late, but for Puša Studios, you know, to be up a little.
Yes, it's amazing you guys make time for us, even when you have your own busy lives and schedules and time zones 100%. And things you have to do. You make time, if not watching us, then listening to us.
It's humbling.
Hello, Stephanie, and hello, Jennifer Watts. You guys, as we said, are just popping in at the very end of our show tonight.
Definitely, you guys, if you can, try to watch the replay of that one. It was really good. It was just.
Oh yes, my God, it's just so amazing. Like the stories, you know. She interviewed Bon Jovi. Like, how amazing is that? How many people can talk about that? And Doc McGhee, you know, it's like.
Not
crazy.
Just talking about Jon Bon Jovi. She talked about getting to grab his butt.
Yeah, she got to grab his butt. Your sister is gonna go crazy.
Oh, my sister,
she loves
yeah, she's right into that,
yeah. Irvin, the paid tourist, at least her head wasn't floating. Who dreamt of that last night? Oh yeah, Coughs was really great yesterday.
Oh, that was a big hit.
Oh my God, thank you, Irvin. Yes, exactly. That was funny.
Best friend in your thread, just making sure I was here for you all. I can go back.
Thank you. Definitely go, Stephanie, because it's gonna be interesting just to listen to. Just don't even have to watch, just listen to. Was it a really interesting guest talking about 80s music and all the bands that she have talked to and interviewed and hang around with, you know, and
I made an appeal on our live stream today, and I'm going to ask while I got women here, if there's a number of you before you leave, please bring more women, because we got to bring up our numbers again. That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. When I did all the cinematic videos, I had a true ratio of pretty much of YouTube, which is 70-30. And the one thing is really weird. The numbers went down and gained in guys more as
we have over 90% of men now.
Yeah, so we got to balance that out. So please bring women friends.
Hey girls, come on.
Ladies' night, you get in for free at the show here. Just bring a friend.
Yeah, you see, I was gonna say I should do more PJ nights, but I'm afraid that would just attract more men. So, maybe you should do a PJ night.
Oh yeah, that would be lovely.
Girls, you should do a PJ night. Yeah, Opal, yes, thank you. Yeah, check it out. It's definitely interesting. You know, really interesting to talk about the behind the scenes of 80s rock music. And
she dated a bunch of musicians, but she never gives their true name. She says she uses nicknames, so it's because she doesn't want it to become their story. She wants it to be hers, and she doesn't want to cause any trouble. So, that was a really neat idea.
Yes,
because most people be like dropping names steady, you know, and to do that, I think is really smart.
ATGH, you are so sweet. Evening entertainment, the word goes to Puša.
Oh God, you're so that's too sweet. That's right.
We love, guys, that you are enjoying our show.
And I like that you feel good when you're at our show and the way you guys are mingling and then the kind words and that. That's really nice to see.
By the way, for those of you who weren't here at the beginning, tomorrow we're going to be having a spooky show. It's going to be Spooky Friday. We're going to have a couple talking about paranormal activities, ghost stories. If you like all that, all the spooky stuff, it's going to be very interesting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Xen is extremely excited for that.
The real evidence of ghosts being there and all the places that you could see them and how to spot them. It's going to be so exciting.
We've had such an array of people when you think about it. If you go back and look through our live streams, when you think about it, it's been such an amazing array of people.
Oh,
you know, from all different walks, all different sizes of channels.
Yeah.
You know, it's very cool. That's more floating heads. Yeah, they keep saying.
Yeah, you never know. Yesterday we were quite surprised for Cuffs doing what they were doing, but it was so entertaining.
He said that's why he said maybe I'll bring even more men, raining men. LOL. So good.
Oh yes, my God, spooky. Oh yes, yeah, it's gonna be spooky. It's gonna be interesting. All the ghost stories. So be ready for that tomorrow. It's gonna be very exciting to check. And also somebody maybe you haven't seen as much on our regular circuit, so to say, of people. We try, as we're saying, to bring people that you know more because you have seen them in the chat, but also mix it up with people that maybe you have heard less about. And just to expand our horizons as well, and introduce them to us and amazing family that we have here. So,
T-Throg was saying, I almost skipped tonight, but glad I didn't. Well, we're glad you could make it. We're really happy to have you here because I remember you saying in the promo video that I forgot to take down again. I'm going to do that right now.
And Reese says, please don't skip your parents' anniversary and grandmother's birthday. Life first, okay? We do appreciate, and you're always a great supporter. But as we always say, life first. So if you have your commitments, do that. You can always come back and listen to us after, so.
Life always comes first. That's one thing that...
Oh, who is not here? Yes. Yeah. I thought everybody's blue.
Oh.
I just have to scroll too far back ahead, so well, I'll do that when they pop in again because I can't find it right now. Right now everybody's blue. I might have to watch replay on that. My son's doing a whodunit mystery musical play at his school tomorrow night, so I'll be home until about after 8 p.m. maybe later. Yes, that's cool, by the way. So, and again, you know, family first, life first. If you can tune in later on. We're probably, it's Friday, so we might be staying a bit later than usual too. But life first. You have your commitments. It's okay. You know. Yes, Cuffs. Thank you very much, and hi to your missus. Once again, you were amazing.
Oh yesterday. Yeah, everybody had a ball.
Everybody's still talking about it. So it's so definitely have fun. Okay.
You take it easy, too, eh? You know what I mean, eh? You guys are so much fun.
Yeah.
We're lucky to have so many great guests and so many great people in the chat. What a win-win for us.
Your house is in New Orleans, Opal.
Yeah.
Ghost Train House is going to be put on Haunted Homes in New Orleans. Wow. Well, we should talk about that with our guests tomorrow. They have extensive knowledge of all the ghost sightings across the board. In fact, that's what they do. One part of what they do is register. They have a registry with the places where they have been sighted and stuff. So definitely we'll talk about that.
That's and New Orleans, I mean, South Louisiana in general, there's so much like the superstition stuff, and then the extraterrestrial.
There's so much.
Yeah.
For ghost stories and superstitions, and for food. Apple, send us some food. The stuff that I have seen, being made there, I just want to go and just have like a, food vacation there, because I don't know, I've never been there, but I just think that would be my favorite place to be for food.
It's oh
my God, now I'm hungry.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Because we haven't eaten yet, so that's just fun.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Again, no supper, no lunch, no breakfast today. I don't know. That's really not good.
No.
We should get some nutritionist in for a talk or something.
Scolding.
Straighten this up, yeah.
Yeah, finger wagging time.
Yeah. Oh, we're lucky to have you. Oh, we're lucky to have you guys. Without you guys, there would be no show. This is part, as we said, us guests and you guys. This is what it all makes it worth it,
Jennifer Watts saying, yeah, it should be fun. It has a pizza place involved in the play, so it should be interesting to see how they put it together.
Wow.
Definitely, yeah.
Oh, well, if you can and when you can, drop by and tell us about it. Now I'm intrigued too. What grade is he in? Just curious to know. I know might be neat house by railroad tracks and graveyards. It's beautiful. Ooh.
Yeah, that sounds like the perfect setting for it.
We're definitely going to go there. It's so many places.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew.
Unless you are sending food this way, I wouldn't be doing this. We're going to start eating our microphone or something. Seriously, we haven't eaten yet today. Like today, not just supper, today.
I thought it was really funny, actually. So, I really liked him. I give him props for it.
Maybe we should finally order something in. I don't know. Or just go and sleep. Pretend it never happened.
Oh, Gettysburg Civil War used all these houses as a hospital way back when. Yeah, I can imagine.
Nice. Second going into third. Oh, cool. Yeah, our daughter is grade 1. Our little one. The youngest one is grade 1. Will be going into second. And I love that age. They're so cute when they do all these performances. I'm sure it's going to be fun tomorrow for you. Yeah.
Good coffee. Good coffee. Yeah, I think it's that time, guys. Thank you so much, for coming by tonight. Thank you for spending your time with us, whether it was short time or long time. Any of your time with us is much appreciated. So always remember, like we said, real life comes first. Always good to have you here. We appreciate you. And cheers and keep creating.
Yeah, thank you so much. And come back if you can tomorrow for the spooky stories. We love you all much.
Have a good night, guys. Bye. I know.